All righty. All right. Looks like we are live now. Good evening, everybody. I am Tom Sellers, and my famous co-host who is not world traveling tonight, Frank Hostica. Frank, how are you?
Doing great, Tom. Glad to be here.
You
I shouldn't. I
betcha.
won't say I'm glad to not be traveling, but yeah, I'm glad to be here. When not
There you
traveling,
go.
happy to be here.
There you are. So how's things with you? What's going on? What's new?
Well, not a lot. Just
Okay.
not a lot new. Just have
Okay.
the usual stuff going on. We're busy, staying busy. Got new clients coming in, and just moving right along. So,
Very nice. Ted Legal, good to see you, sir. How are you?
good evening, Ted. Glad to see you.
Very nice. Well, here at tsellers.com, we got a lot going on. I'm going to announce this as kind of a pre-announcement. I am putting out an e-learning course. It's a 5-week course. It should be I should be able to pre-launch that perhaps by next week. Also, for everybody listening, I'm going to put a link in for anybody who is interested. One of the things that I always say, and Frank has said the same, if you are as a business owner trying to hone your skills, you need to do some reading, you need to get some more information in. And some people, I understand, prefer that in an audio fashion. So I am going to put a link here uh, in the comments that is going to allow you to get 3 free audiobooks um, for nothing to try out a service.
Free for nothing.
Free for
Awesome.
nothing, cost you nothing. This is from us to you. Uh, Over 200,000 titles to choose from, and you're just going to try their service out for 30 days. If you like it, you keep on it. They're going to give you a discount because you got it from us. If not, you got three free books, and then you didn't have to take any kind of service. So I'm going to pop that in here right now. Right now, I am. I'm going to work on that as we go. Look in the comments; it'll be up shortly.
All
So,
right.
so Frank, we have a guest tonight who we've talked about a couple of times. So perhaps you'd give him an introduction, and we're going to bring him into the picture and into the
All right.
conversation.
So, gentleman we've got on tonight is a insurance agent, been in the insurance industry for many years, and Tom and I both know him and network with him through the McHenry Area Chamber of Commerce. And so let's bring in George Chase, and we're going to
But
talk to him a little bit about his transition from, hey, being an agent working in an office to working from home like the rest of us, and
absolutely,
have us educate us a little bit on what kind of insurances you need to be mindful of as a small business owner and entrepreneur working from home. So, welcome, George Chase.
George, how are you?
Glad to have you with us.
Hey guys.
So, George, we're going to get.
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks.
We're going to.
Thanks so much. Glad to be here, Tom and Frank. Thanks for the.
You're welcome. I think we have a little bit of a delay between George and us, but we'll try to pause accordingly to keep things going. So, George, we're going to get right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in your insurance career and how long you've been in insurance, that type of stuff. So, give us a little background on what you've been doing, how you got here.
Sure. Thanks. Hey, so I am married to my wife, Amy. We have 3 young men in our family now. Used to be 3 boys. Now it's 3 young men. Their ages 21, 19, and 15. And I also have a daughter who's married, and we've got a couple of grandkids with them, ages 7 and almost 5. So I got my start in the insurance business when I was let go from a general contracting firm. But the one and only time I've been let go by a company.
Oh boy.
So how did that,
So I had talked to some.
into insurance?
I had a couple of friends in the business, a couple of guys who I'd known who had been talking to me for a couple of years saying, "Hey, George, you ought to come try this out. You ought to give it a look. Come and talk to my boss, see what he thinks, see what you think, and see if it's a good fit." So I interviewed with their boss, and I also interviewed with, I think three. It's hard to remember. It's been 19 years. Three other companies, and found the right fit at that time. That was 2001, September of 2001, and I'm not sure if I've shared this with you before, Frank, but September 11th, 2001 was the day that I passed my insurance exams.
Wow, that's a pretty big date. There are a couple other things that happened that day as well. I don't remember really what, but I know there's something significant that happened on that day. Yeah, the world changed a lot. How was it getting started in insurance at that time?
Well, at that time, it was before the Patriot Act was signed into law, and prospecting at the time, trying to grow your book of business at the time was kind of fair game. I remember opening the doors to my first office, having signed the lease and gotten the keys, and moved in my desk and my credenza and set up my phone. And then thought, holy crap, how do I get the phone to ring?
And you mean it didn't start ringing all right away just because you turned the lights on and stuff? The phone didn't just start ringing?
It didn't start ringing right away just because I was a good guy. Yep. Nobody was beating down the door right off the bat. I had to, and I literally, I took out the phone book and I just started making calls.
Really cool. Everybody who I taught, earlier I said about a link, it is right on the screen here. I was not able to put it in the chat, so you'll just have to kind of write it down, type it in, and get yourself some free ebooks. So George, you're telling me, because I find this difficult to believe, you now have a license, you now have a place to do business, and you said, "Hey, I'm here," and nothing happened? How does that work?
I was, taken aback for sure. I thought I'd open up the doors and flip the switch and the lights would come on and they'd start lining up. After all, I was only 3 doors down from the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of traffic.
That's automatic. Go to 7-Eleven and
then, grab a Slurpee,
pick up
go see the insurance guy.
Yeah. Can I have some insurance to go, please? And a big gulp.
And a big gulp, right.
So that was a long time ago, George. You've been in it for a while now. I trust you figured out how to prospect a little bit, get your phone to ring. And again, that was back in it. You went to an office, but you were there, and you either had the phone ringing, you went out, you prospected, you made calls, those kind of things. But now, in the current environment, I know you no longer work in that particular office, and with the way things are, you've kind of migrated to working from home. So talk to us a little bit about how things have changed for you, if not necessarily in your industry, now that you're working from the kitchen table, the spare bedroom, wherever you may set up your laptop at the house.
Yeah. Well, judging by the photo behind me, I'm in the family room. I'm perched on the pool table / ping pong table, and coming to you live from home. It was interesting. It was through the month of March when we started to see some of the signs that we were going to be closing down. We started getting ready. Our company, American Family, started prepping us and started putting some things in place. We pretty quickly figured out how to go home and log on, and we created logons to the VPN at American Family, and that allowed us to physically work at our home stations. And that was a big change. That was a big switch. Even though I work sort of remotely, in a sense that I'm out, knocking on doors, going to networking meetings, going to some of the Chamber of Commerce mixers, getting coffee with some of my, centers of influence, a couple mornings a week, doing those kind of things. It was a change. It was a switch. But you pivot and you make the best of it, and that's what we did.
Now we must have a major league lag time here, because I've just been watching George say all that and not move his lips. So somewhere along the line, we've got a real
Yeah,
lag.
we got
We're
about
trying to get through that.
I've kind of counted. We've got about a 10-second delay between George's video and his audio. So, George, you're doing fine. You just keep talking when we ask you a question, and just know that there's a little bit of a space in between because there seemed to be some kind of lag. And that's all right. That's technology. We make the best of it.
Right. Yeah. Never noticed that before.
Yep. So he's got a thumbs up. So at least he's hearing us and everything's going along. So, George, what's one of the biggest challenges you have right now as it stands in our current environment with COVID and some limitations or restrictions on what you can and can't do as far as networking and knocking on doors, and the challenge of working from home? What's one of the biggest challenges that you have right now?
Wow. Now we have no sound.
Yeah, we've lost
complete sound and no sound.
We aren't hearing you. Okay. Let's take a time out here and figure this out.
Yeah.
So, George, we're not hearing you at all now. We went from there being about a 10-second delay to your lips are moving and we're not hearing a sound.
A general wide open answer to that question is perhaps, the biggest challenge that we face might just be the space between our own two ears. But mostly, and then, yeah.
All righty.
Really? I can hear you.
All right, we're having some fun.
Yeah, we are. Let's hear it for technology.
Yeah. All right.
I have no idea why we are having this kind of issue.
All right.
How many shows have we done this year with no problems at all?
Yeah. Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
That's the cue to go to commercial.
That's That's great, except we don't have commercials for today. I've got some new ones I'm working on.
Okay.
Okay, I
iPhone.
can certainly fill some time here. We
There you
can pivot.
go.
Hey, I heard that.
All right.
Okay.
Are you back,
I
George?
heard that.
You say you can or cannot?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Well, if you would tell us, we got some of your answer about some of the challenges you've had to face since COVID and lockdown and all these kinds of things. If you could kind of go back over that, maybe we get all of it this time. And my apologies, George, for this, whatever this app is doing right now. I do not have the answer.
Call Matt Chase Mobile.
Calling Matt Chase Mobile.
Wow. That was interesting.
Okay.
I can hear you guys. Hey, can I borrow your laptop, like ASAP?
Calling upstairs.
Looks like we have an equipment change going on in
All right.
in the middle of the second quarter.
All right. All right. So, George, you go ahead, bail out.
Well, yeah.
and log in on your new device.
Happy
We'll
to
bring you
talk.
back. All right. in the
And
meantime,
wondering if I could maybe pivot to a different machine.
do it.
Do you guys have
Yes,
the ability
do it.
to put me
Go ahead.
back in the green room and
Yep.
talk amongst yourselves for about a minute?
Yep. And then we'll bring you back in. So you go
Yeah.
right ahead. Tom, you take care
I think
of
it
the
might be
technology.
me.
You can hook George up. There you go. So, folks, we're going to get George Chase back on with us in a minute or two here. Sorry for the stand. But, it's fun.
You bet.
Live TV, live internet, whatever you want to call it, live radio. That's
Yep.
the beauty of it. So you got to make it work. So,
And unfortunately, it's one of those deals we can't define on whose end it is.
yeah.
So hopefully the equipment change answers that question for us.
All right. So, meantime, we're going to bring George back on and continue to talk to him about insurance,
Right.
his experience in insurance, and things. We're going to lead that into the conversation of what he sees coming down the road for insurance, and also important things for entrepreneurs, those of us that work from home, and what we need to know, understand, and consider when it comes to our insurance. Because can tell you I've run into several people, entrepreneurs, who think that, oh, I'm working from home. Anything I do here is covered by my homeowner's insurance.
Yep.
And I don't even necessarily have to tell them about anything until something bad happens, and I'll call them up and try to file a claim.
Right.
I can tell you that it doesn't necessarily work that way.
Nope.
So you certainly want to have a trusted and experienced insurance advisor to help you work through some of these things and ask questions, find out. Might it cost you a little money to get the proper insurance? Yes, but in the long run, it's going to protect you and keep you from going down the tubes.
Yeah, because we don't think about. I know when I first opened my company 5 years ago, I didn't give insurance much of a thought until I think it was you, because we were talking about legal protection, and I'm like, well, what do I need that for? Anyway, conversations. I had conversations with commercial insurers, which opened my eyes to things that I never gave a second thought to. So, it is at the very least worth a cup of coffee to have your eyes open.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're waiting for George to get back on here. So Tom, tell us a little more. Give us a little more insight. You've got this link on up here, and just so people understand, it's after the / there, it's 356 lowercase l 5 lowercase k 5. So you don't get that one in between the 6 and the 5 confused as a 1. It's not. It's 6L5K5.
Right.
But where's that
yeah.
link going to take them, Tom?
That is going to take you to the offer I spoke of earlier, where you can get yourself 3 free audiobooks just for trying out the service for a month without a commitment. And if you decide that you really like it, a lot of people do. I mean, a lot of people will listen to audiobooks while they're in the car or when they're at the gym, on the treadmill, what have you. So it's really a good deal. So like I say, whether you choose to stay with it or you don't, and of course they're going to hope you do with that kind of inventory that they have. It's a great deal to try it out and get 3 free audiobooks. So that is our way of kind of saying thanks for being a loyal listener. And it looks like we have George ready to go again. I'm going to bring him in there and see how
he
it
just
works.
sent me a text. He's ready to roll. So
There he is.
Hey.
Yes.
Hi, George.
Hey, good to be back.
Hey, look, did you see that? His lips moved and the sound came
At the same time.
That was amazing.
It wasn't like watching a kung fu movie.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where are the Japanese subtitles?
Right?
Yeah. Well, George, welcome back. And we were on the question of biggest challenges, and I guess there's a prime example of some of the challenges those of us working from home have is we got to rely on our home internet,
right,
in our own technology, which may or may not be up to par sometimes.
Yeah.
And but that happens at the office as well at home. But we were talking about some of the challenges, and we got to the point where you had suggested or you made the statement sometimes the biggest challenges, and you did kind of this between the ears. So elaborate on that a little bit, if you would, George. What are some of the challenges you're facing in your business, and what have you done to overcome them or push through?
Yeah. So, from a physical sense with COVID, a lot of businesses were shut down, and the kind of businesses that kind of work well for me and for American Family, restaurants, coffee shops, sandwich shops, hair and nail salons, things of that nature where the public is out there and present. Those were all shut down, So
yeah, weren't essential enough.
Exactly. So we tried reaching out to those folks to see if there was, if they had some time or the inclination to want to talk about their insurance. And we just found that it really wasn't a good time to do that, that a lot of business owners were, just kind of trying to figure out how to make things happen, how to keep their employees around, and just how to navigate the whole, COVID pandemic, onset thing. So I'm talking about March and April, right? We were shut down in the third week of March. And so March and April were particularly quiet months where folks were, kind of hunkered down, didn't want to talk about much, just wanted to kind of ride this thing out, hope that, it was going to end soon and that we could all kind of, go back to doing our thing. So,
we're still hoping that.
Pardon?
We're still hoping that.
Yeah, right. Fast forward 7 months and we're still hoping that. Right. So we kind of pivoted to calling on our current customer base and just letting them know that we were there for them, that if they had any kind of need, be it a service need or just to check in, or if they needed to. We have so many clients in our book of business that enjoy walking into our office and paying their bill in person, seeing us, chatting it up with us for a little bit, and then, going about the rest of their errands. So we couldn't do any of that. So we were reaching out to folks by phone and just letting everybody know that, everything is okay. Call the payments in as best you can, or use the use the envelope to mail your payments to Madison, and we'll kind of take it from there, and we'll see you on the other side. We told folks. So that created a few opportunities. We were able to, pivot, set up have an insurance review on the phone, maybe pivot to, another line of insurance that a household didn't have. And we saw, some success that way, but it was mostly, just sort of a customer outreach, program on our end that, proved to be, a good idea, and it won us, some good compliments from folks, and it was a feel good campaign, if you will.
Okay. Well, one of the things that we kind of center on a lot on this show is how people are going about promoting their business. So that leads me to what have you found to be most effective for you, especially during all of this?
Lately, since people's fears have been eased, to a large extent, and businesses are open again, and get-togethers in small numbers are fashionable again and allowed again. I'm able to get out and promote myself and the agency in person more than I have had been, in the early days of COVID. I know our agency in particular just kind of always kept on with email marketing campaigns that we already had in place, postcard marketing campaigns that we already had in place. American Family, as you know, has a pretty good presence on like TV and radio ads, and you'll see some internet banners as well. So that sort of marketing from a corporate standpoint, and then the agency I work at, that's kind of how they've operated. And for me, it's been networking groups, chamber mixers, door knocking, referrals just from clients, friends and family, and picking up the phone and making some calls.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. And you mentioned you're a member of the local Chamber of Commerce, and you participate in their events, which is always a great way. I have found that to be a great way to, grow my business personally and build my personal brand. And as a matter of fact, that's where we all first made acquaintance with each other at different times, but we all met through the local McHenry area Chamber of Commerce, which again is a great way to get out and increase visibility in the local area. So our audience is primarily entrepreneurs who own their own business, work from home. Maybe some of them have small offices, but for the most part, yeah, we're entrepreneurs, home-based businesses. Sure. Talk a little bit, George, about some of the liability issues and some things that people like ourselves need to be concerned about. We talked about it while we were waiting for you to get back on, about, you've opened my eyes and I've opened other people's eyes. And, Tom and I have had conversations about that, things that I never thought about. Well, I work from home. Hey, that's covered by, I'm at home. My homeowner's insurance. I got nothing else to worry about. So talk to us a little bit about some of the things that a home-based business or someone with a small business needs to be concerned about when it comes to liability and insurance coverage.
Sure. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when you say, hey, I work from home. It's covered. I got homeowner's insurance. I'll be fine. That was probably true a generation ago, but insurance companies, they've had to get a little bit more specific in their coverages, and you'll find that the average homeowner policy, has certain items built into it for business items, but they're very small offerings, and they're really homeowners policies are really made to protect what we do in and around our home, having friends over, those types of things, living and going about our daily lives. to run a business out of your home is a little bit bigger deal from an insurance standpoint than just what your homeowner's insurance offers. You may not find that you have the liability protection that you really need. And you'll also probably find that you don't really have the property protection that you need on your standard homeowner's policy. There might be a stipend for, $2,500 worth of business equipment. But let's say you're an accountant who has an office and clients come to the home office because it's quiet, it's conducive to business, it's a nice setup, you don't have to commute. They're coming to you, but they're coming on your property, and you're using that space in your home for a business purpose. So your homeowner's insurance, property and liability, isn't going to give you the coverage that you need. So the best thing you could do is, A, find out what your homeowners covers in those regards, and then B, talk to your agent about a business policy for, a small business in the home. And they're typically not very expensive. And most types of things that you would do out of your home could be covered, unless you tell your agent you want to open up an ammunition factory in the basement, then you're probably not going to get coverage. Yeah.
Right.
Well, there are other things to consider as well, depending on your type of business. True. And I say that, George, because, while you were away, we were talking about that. And I had to have a conversation with a commercial insurer, and it opened my eyes about things like professional liabilities and errors and omissions. I'm like, I'm one guy. How many bad things can I do at once?
Right.
Maybe you can enlighten us on some of that.
Yeah, and you might even need workers' comp. I mean, who knows, right?
Right.
Yeah, so depending on the profession you're in, and with many professions, what you talked about, professional liability or errors and omissions, is a policy type that it's been around for a number of years, and we're seeing more and more different work types. Take them out. When we think of professional liability, the first thing that used to come to mind was, all right, I'm a CPA, I'm an attorney, I'm a doctor. I've got to have professional liability, because if I injure somebody, or if I do something wrong, or say something or omit, hence the term errors and omissions. Right. If I leave something out, and then a client goes through a situation where they've incurred a loss, and maybe they're being taken to court over something, they're going to come back to you and say, hey, Mr. Professional, you didn't tell me about this. Right. Or you left that part out of our conversation, and you left that part off of my policy. Now I'm in court over it. I'm right. coming after you. Uh-huh. So right. That's the need for professional liability.
So, excuse me, a couple other terms I've heard, and again, kind of elaborate on these for us, George. How about like general liability? There's another term here, so general liability be one. What's that mean, George? What is general liability policy? What does that mean? What's it covered? Who needs it?
Well, in general is who needs it, of course.
Well, general liability is not a guy with 4 gold stars across his chest.
No? Okay.
Contrary to popular belief. General liability is something that every business should have. It protects you should an incident or an accident happen in the place where you do business. General liability could be something as simple as like a trip and fall outside of a restaurant, 6 a.m. in the middle of winter. It snowed. Somebody's coming in, through the front door for their morning coffee, and the ice and snow contractor hasn't been there yet to put down salt, and the customer trips and falls. General liability is going to, protect the store owner, the restaurant owner in that situation should, there be injuries to have to pay for. And the ice and snow contractor, if they were supposed to have been out there, well, they better hope that their general liability is also, up to snuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
But so how about somebody that works from home that doesn't have that situation? So general liability isn't really something that a home-based business needs then?
Yeah, general liability is a great thing to have and a great coverage piece because it's going to cover you where you do business. So the guy who's got the home office and the clients are coming into his home, his general liability, a business policy, is going to protect him in that instance or her. Okay. The homeowner's liability is not going to. You couldn't go to your homeowner's insurance company and say, well, my client came over for a quarterly tax filing and, slipped and fell on my step. And, will you pay that? And the homeowner insurance company is going to say, no, we won't. You're doing business in your home. You needed to upgrade your policy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How about somebody, here's another, so I'm somebody, do hair and nails on the side in the spare bedroom or in the basement type of thing. Again, now you got people coming in and you're providing them a service or whatever. That's going to require a different type of policy. Or I'm somebody, I'm a mobile person. I go to their home and go into their home to provide some service or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So where do those fall under when it comes to the different types of insurances?
Yeah, I think the person that maybe has a chair in the basement and they're cutting hair for friends and family, and maybe they're building a little bit of a client base along the way. They're running a risk for sure by not carrying A, general liability, that if there's a slip and fall, and B, professional liability, because as I alluded to earlier, more and more scopes of work, if you will, or business types are needing professional liability. So general liability provides coverage for it's slips and falls is like the number one thing, but it won't cover the work you do. So a hair salon's general liability policy won't cover someone if they nick their earlobe during a cut, or they totally blow somebody's style, their cut and color. They're probably not going to get sued over that, but that's just the the kind of coverage that it provides. A doctor is probably a more extreme example of a need for professional liability. An accountant who's messing with somebody's financials, financial advisors, that just came to mind. Insurance advisors. We have errors and omissions policies.
So you mentioned workers' comp a minute ago.
Yeah.
Why as a home-based business would I need workers' comp insurance?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is a home-based business that's maybe a corporation where the person, the owner officers are employees of the company and they're working out of the home. Like, let's say, things are going so well that, the husband and the wife, as an example, or, a father, son, mother, daughter kind of team. And somebody's an employee, and, workers' comp is going to protect them in the event, that there's a fall, a slip. It's a good thing to have. Where we see that mostly is with contractors, even though a guy may work solo. Illinois insurance law says that if a contractor has liability insurance, he's supposed to also be carrying workers' comp, even if he excludes himself.
Okay. Good to know. So, generally speaking, and again, it's a one size does not fit all. Correct? So
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
and if I've got an internet business going. All I do is, do this, do Zoom, do virtual. No one sets foot in my house. All I'm doing is marketing, selling services, whatever, via the internet or via phone conversations with people. I have very little in-person contact with people. Okay, but I should still consider some type of either general liability or some professional liability insurance. And are these things expensive, George?
No, they're not really for the kind of thing that you're describing. It's really not. The policy is good to have. I mean, let's say 99% of the time you're doing work right there from your home office and nobody's coming around. But the day that you go out and meet a client for coffee somewhere, and something happens that winds up being your fault or attributed to you or something that happened, that's when you need your general liability to be there for you. The guy who's doing all the network marketing and the blogging and the social media posting for a company, he's a candidate for a professional liability policy.
Because you're opening yourself up to different.
There's all kinds of libel and slander opportunities happening there. Doing or saying the wrong thing on the internet could, and get you in a real trouble.
Would you agree? Everybody's looking for somebody to blame.
Well, it seems sort of like a societal thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, everybody's looking for somebody to blame, and if
somebody
I blame somebody, I can put my hand in their pocket.
Yeah.
I'm there. I mean,
and having the policy in place, you got, you're trading $350 a year for $1 million of liability coverage. Kind of a no-brainer.
Okay. All right. Good to know. So again, you mentioned $1 million. It popped something into my head. So not something I had written down, but kind of brought a question to mind. So I got a homeowner's policy. Pretty standard, typical type stuff. And then I also have an umbrella policy because I've got a couple of umbrellas and I want to make sure they're insured. But no, I've got an umbrella policy which gives me $1 million of coverage over everything.
Yeah.
Does it cover my little old home-based business, my LLC that I have?
Probably not, but best advice I could give you would be to check with your carrier. Mm-hmm. You might be able to include it depending on the company, depending on how the state, has, their own insurance laws and rules set up. But generally speaking, your personal liability umbrella will keep the rain off of you, keep the storm off of you. Over the homeowners, automobiles, motorcycles, wave runners, boats, campers. That's what a personal liability umbrella is designed to do. And your commercial liability umbrella, from a business standpoint and for a business owner, will cover, things like the business's general liability. It'll cover their employer liability. It'll cover their commercial auto liability. And, you can write that for, $1 million on up to, 5, 10 and beyond, depending on what you have, what sort of exposure you have and what could you stand to lose? What do you need to protect? It's all about risk management.
Exactly. So we got a couple of guys chiming in on our chats here. So Ted Legal chimed in with, hey guys, don't forget about referral programs like mine. So if you want to talk, Ted's a friend of the show and been around a little bit, and Ted does some internet marketing in some referral program things. So again, another avenue is finding those resources, those people that can be good referral sources for you. Hello,
so,
Phil.
Hey, as a first timer on the show, can I type a message back to Ted?
You have to talk to our producer there, see if you can type something in or not. I don't know if you can or not. Hi,
Yes.
Phil Nacarino.
Yes,
Um,
you can.
So Ted Legal also made a comment. Workers' comp is expensive. George, can you elaborate on that? Is workers'
I have a
comp
feeling that's
expensive?
what the message is about.
George, is workers' comp expensive?
Depends on the type of work that you're doing. It varies with the risk. So, at our insurance agency, we're a very low risk. We're not even opening file cabinet drawers much anymore that we could pinch a fingernail.
I might be careful
So
telling.
we're a very low risk, and our rate is very low. As you get into different work types like the trades, that the risk goes up. The likelihood that a workers' comp carrier could have a big payout goes up. So they have to charge a larger premium to cover the likelihood of a future claim.
And it looks like Phil has some questions, and it looks like even perhaps some need. Phil, you and George want to get together after the show because I think that's the guy you want to talk to.
Yeah. But so Phil
Yeah,
Nacarino
happy
asked
to.
a question. Can I use a home-based business insurance and do events, and those events need proof of insurance? So again, he's got a home-based business, but he goes out and does vendor shows, events, those farmers markets and things of that nature.
Sure.
They
Yeah.
typically ask for some type of proof of insurance. So what type of insurance are they looking for? What do they need from
Great
him?
question. Yeah, no, that's a great question, Phil. Depending on the host or the place that's putting it on, whether you're in an event space somewhere or you're at the farmers market, you might find that some of them vary a little bit. Many times, the first question I'll ask when folks call up and want to get an insurance policy for doing those types of things is, will they accept a copy of your homeowner's declarations? So many times guys doing farmers markets or, maybe some things over at like the McHenry County Fair, for example, many times they'll accept a copy of your homeowner's liability.
Well, that
So-
raises the question right from the get-go.
In some cases, homeowners liability will extend to those types of things.
Really?
Yeah.
But always check with your agent. Make sure you're covered, or read your policy, which I'll ask before I sit there and try to decipher it myself.
It's easier to call the insurance office. Yeah.
Yeah, and see what's covered and what's not.
Yeah.
Because again, typically my experience, and this isn't to say anything bad about anybody, but yeah, when those people that run those shows say, "Hey, I want proof of insurance," and you can hand them just about anything, and they'll go, "Okay, good." They don't know, just because you handed them a homeowner's declaration policy doesn't mean that homeowner's policy is going to cover you.
Yeah, you want to have that conversation with both.
Right.
You want to have that conversation with them. You want to ask both you want to ask both your agent and the host of the event.
Yeah.
But then there are special events policies. There are commercial based for businesses who are getting out and doing a lot of things. If you're making and selling high end cutlery, and you're taking that out to trade shows and farmers markets, and you're selling it either on site or on your website or your Facebook page, you've got a commercial entity there. You've got a business, and you want to protect that with a business insurance policy. Your homeowners won't go that far for you.
Right. And if you lose some inventory.
Yeah, there's always theft coverage for sure. Yeah.
Right. Whether you lose it because of somebody walks off with it at a show when you're talking to somebody else and somebody walks off with it, and or it just gets damaged somehow at the show or whatever. So again, if you've got inventory, you definitely want to talk to your insurance agent about that. See if there's something that needs to be covered. Great stuff, Ted. I jotted down Ted's number for you. I think you probably already have it, George, but Ted wants to talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. I think I do still have it. I'll double check, but nice to
I've
hear
got
from you,
it
Ted.
if you need it.
Yeah, and I
Tom, you
think
got a question for George?
I do, because we are, believe it or not, closing in on the end of our hour. But it looks like Phil wants to talk with you as well, George, and I think that'd be a great conversation for both
So,
of us.
Wonderful.
yeah. So George, go ahead real quick. Give the audience how do they get in contact with you?
Easiest way is to call my cell phone. I can give you that. I take calls there. I take calls at the office. Cell phone number 847-373-8577. If I'm not able to pick up, please leave a voicemail. I'll call you back as quickly as I can. Our office number is 847-587-6900. And bear with me one sec. I want to just grab my binder here. See if we can work that out. Maybe somebody could screenshot that.
Pretty small, pretty hard to see that. But anyway,
so the email address works too.
By email, what's your email address?
First initial, last name. It's gchase@amfam.com.
Awesome. So they can drop your email
at amfam.com.
And give us the phone numbers, the cell phone one more time.
847-373-8577.
There you go. All right. So those in the audience, you've got a way to get a hold of George and Ted and Phil. I've got your contact information. I'll pass that on to George, and George can give you a shout tomorrow and have a conversation. Again, the one thing I can tell you about George, it's not high pressure sales. He really, truly loves what he does, wants to educate you and help you make a good decision. So, that's what I can tell you about George. But George, what one sentence would you like people to use in describing the way you do business?
Well, you just kind of took it and ran with it there, Frank.
I know, but you might have your own sentence.
No, I tell you what, I do love to present and consult. I like to ask questions and see what your needs are rather than just, spouting. I could go on for hours about insurance and what's this and what's that. And your eyes can roll back up into your head. But I like to find out what people need, and why they need it. And if it's somebody who's a startup, then I love to give them good advice about what they need. I just spoke with a guy starting a tree trimming company here over the last couple of days and able to give him some good advice about what he needs. I'll meet people who have had insurance policies for years, and I might ask, why do you have that limit on this piece over here and only that limit on that item over there? Just to kind of feel out, again, what their needs are. So consultative style is definitely my thing.
Absolutely. Good.
Very nice.
Thanks,
Well,
George.
we want to thank George for being on the show with us. A great interview, a lot of information. Looks like you've created some interest with a couple of people, which is great. That's why we do this.
Appreciate it.
George, appreciate you being on the show. Couple of last minute announcements before we close this down. I want to thank everybody who was listening, and those that will be listening. Seems like we get a lot more traffic from in the next couple of days after we do this. So there'll be a lot more people will hear what you had to say, George.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thanks, Tom and Frank, both of you. I appreciate being on and the opportunity to talk and answer questions. And it was a great time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for those of you on right now, please share this with people that you think could use this kind of stuff. I mean, we talk business here, small business, home business, the things that it takes to keep those business operable. couple of last minute things before we get over here. The URL that you see over here under the screen, that is for anybody to jump on, grab yourself 3 free ebooks. I'm sorry, for 3 free audiobooks. If you like to listen instead of read, a lot of people are good with that. 3 of them for free. You get to try the service for free for a month. If you like it, you keep it. If not, no big deal. You still keep the 3 books. That's our gift to you. Also, I mentioned at the top of the show, I have a course coming out, and it is entitled "Monetizing Your Experience." So if you are looking to tap into a 900% increasing market of e-learning, that course is going to be ready. I may be able to jumpstart it by next week, but I'll keep you informed. Frank, how about you? Anything?
Yeah, for those of us working from home out there, if you need to connect to more people, you need some lead generation, you want to build your group, your resources. We've got a virtual networking event coming up on Friday, October 23rd. It's a great way to connect with people. If you want to know more about that, you can reach me at 815-347-0181. Would love to have you join us for a virtual networking event next Friday morning, couple hours from 9 till 11. Great way to meet some people, build some visibility, and expand your network. So that's what we got going on in the local area here. But you don't have to be local to participate in that because, again, it's virtual. That's the beauty of this stuff is a lot of it's virtual. You can do it from just about anywhere. So
It's global.
yes. And we're here at our 2 cents, giving you our 2 cents, plus another penny from George today,
We will like that.
making sense of working from home.
Absolutely. We want to thank everybody who's joined us. We want to thank George for being on the podcast with us and answering some questions, giving us some insight. And we will see you all again next week, which means we're going to cue the music and we're out of here. Thanks again, folks.
All right.
Take care.